Greetings, everyone. Mark Tapson for the David Horowitz Freedom Center. Well, Harvard University President Claudine Gay, who has been at the center of arguably the biggest scandal in Harvard history and arguably the biggest education scandal of the year, finally announced her resignation after weeks of trying to fend off charges of plagiarism right on the heels of her morally repugnant waffling before Congress about anti-Semitism on college campuses. This makes her 6-month tenure as president the shortest in Harvard history. The real scandal, though, was not her rampant plagiarism, but the revelation that someone with the scantest of academic credentials sailed into one of the most prestigious elite positions of power solely because, as a black woman, she was the beneficiary of the left's diversity, equity, and inclusion privilege. The left circled the wagons around the plagiarism enthusiast, shrugging off violations which would have been enough to destroy the academic legitimacy of anyone but a black woman who is backed up by the entire DEI machinery in which Harvard and virtually every other institution of higher learning are heavily invested. Her defenders, like CNN reporter Matt Egan, argue that the problem is not Claudine Gay's plagiarism, but the fact that it was conservatives who pointed it out. Egan tried to delegitimize the allegations because they came, quote, not from activists who were fired up about academic citation, but right-wing activists who feel that a lot of these Ivy League presidents are too liberal, unquote. The Associated Press even called plagiarism accusations, quote, a new weapon in conservative attacks on higher education, unquote. Claudine Gay herself wrote in her resignation email to the Harvard community that she was only stepping down, quote, to deny demagogues the opportunity to further weaponize my presidency in their campaign to undermine the ideals animating Harvard since its founding. Excellence, openness, independence, truth, unquote. No. Conservatives went after Claudine Gay in an attempt not to undermine, but to restore the ideals animating Harvard since its founding. Excellence, openness, independence, and truth. Because all of those ideals had been betrayed by the left's agenda to install systemic diversity, equity, and inclusion, ideals that are fundamentally antagonistic to excellence, openness, independence, and truth. But of course, the race card is the strategy that every left-wing pundit has chosen to play in support of this fraud against her conservative detractors. Best-selling race hustler Ibram X. Kendi, for example, whose real name is Ibram Henry Rogers, raged that, quote, racist mobs won't stop until they topple all black people from positions of power and influence, unquote. No, Ibram Henry Rogers, bringing down Claudine Gay is not about toppling blacks from positions of power. It's about exposing and blocking the DEI behemoth that is corroding our society and replacing ideals of merit and excellence and even competence, ideals that enable a civilization to flourish, with a poisonous set of social justice values rooted in jealousy and racial revenge. The right scored a key victory in the culture war by forcing Claudine Gay's resignation, and we did it by going on offense, not playing defense, and by not being deterred by the predictable false allegations of racism and misogyny. There's a lesson there for conservatives who think that trying to push back against the left's cultural hegemony is hopeless. Thanks for listening. See you next time.